Guys, I'm back from my vacation. Hello? 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 I'm gonna get naked and take a shower. David?
Oh, Matt, you're back. Hi.
What are you doing?
Oh, Halloween was coming up and I was gonna jump out and scare you for the spooktacular, but I guess you went on vacation, so I've been kind of just sitting here waiting for you to get back. You want some?
You've been in here for 3 weeks?
Yeah, it seems about right. I think it's about that long.
Have you eaten anything?
Yeah, I've got the detergent and there was some soap in here.
You want to watch a movie?
Yeah, after the hospital. Hello, we watched a movie today. I got better in the... Yeah.
Hellraiser, Hellseeker.
Yes, Hellblazer. So are you...
No. David. Hellraiser, not Hellblazer.
Are you telling me...
Razor.
Are you telling me this movie does not feature a smarmy, chain-smoking British man?
No.
Why are we even fucking doing this show?
Because we are masochists.
True. Though I do find a bit of pleasure in our pain.
That's masochism.
Check out Rebirth Recap. Anyway, plot for this movie. I guess put a minute on the clock. Here we go. Okay, so it opens up with our main character, Trevor. He keeps on asking himself, is this the real life? Is this a fantasy? Caught in a landslide. No escape. I'm sorry, I went somewhere. He gets into a car accident with his beautiful wife, Christy, and he ends up surviving while she ends up dying. But he's having trouble discerning what's real and what's fake, and the police think that, oh, he might have killed his wife. But that's okay, because literally everybody wants his dick. But as they get his dick, it's like a reverse Good Luck Chuck. They all die. Oh, like very gruesome death. So, as the movie goes on, more and more of these lovers die, and he's confused as to, I'm sorry, are you real? Are you? No? Okay. And that just keeps happening, like 1,000 times, until finally it's revealed in the very end that he gave the puzzle box that Hellraiser is famous for to his wife. But his wife had already come in contact with the puzzle box. Yeah, she's Christy from, I guess, one of the earlier ones.
The first 3,
cool.
I think.
So she makes a deal with Pinhead for her soul, saying, I will get you 5 souls in return. And that's all the lovers that he took, along with himself and a co-worker, apparently.
Try to kill her.
Yeah, I guess. So Pinhead's like, yeah, no, that's all right. So the whole movie was all just his little, like, fantasy was he was already dead. And all the people in it that he thought were kind of real and stuff were all people that were just around his body at the time of his death. Or the time they pulled it out of the river, I should say.
And Christy took the box home.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely... I can't remember how that ties into the next movie.
I don't think it does. In any particular fashion.
Anyway, acting.
Acting. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have the cast that is the blandest fucking cast in Hellraiser we have seen today.
Oh, God.
And again, even though I've seen the first couple films in the movie series, we're basing this off of the fact over the last few years that we are going back through the reverse order of Hellraiser movies. And
this is our 4th?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. But the thing is, though, as a result of that, these are the blandest fucking actors we've had to deal with. And, like, all right, the main character, who's the main actor?
Trevor Gooden is Dean Winters.
Dean Winters. He's mostly known for playing the character in the show Oz. And as a result of that, you would think that he would be a decent actor. And he was still in Oz when he did this. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, though, I honestly believe he could not give a shit about this movie whatsoever. The only person in this movie that I was even mildly interested in was Doug Bradley. Of course, he's the guy who plays Pinhead.
Yeah.
But these people are either unbelievably underwhelming. I personally also think it's probably because of the script, but we'll get to that. But the thing is, though, it's completely underwhelming. They don't give a shit about what's going on, and as a result of that, their performances come off almost like... I mean, they're almost like caricatures, especially toward the end when they kind of like start, it's like, oh, you know, the difference between good and evil and all that kind of stuff. Like, it becomes hokey and stupid and looks like someone was trying to rip off Men in Black 2. Of all places, why in the world would you want to rip off that fucking movie? But, I mean, you want to take a step back and really kind of give it a thought for a second that this movie cost millions of dollars to make. You think that somebody would put a little effort into it. And I think it's also one of the main reasons, you know, hell, I wouldn't be surprised if you, like you said during the actual movie, is that these actors were only given one scene at a time to act with, and they didn't actually understand where the context of this scene fit into the movie.
Well, see, for acting at least,
you know,
when there's one thing that I just found, literally right now, just found. The guy who played okay, so the whole thing was that the cops, the homicide cops that were after them, they were supposed to be representing the good cop, bad cop, you know, the good and evil, and it was literally like two sides of the same dude. The bad cop was a character we've covered before. He was Barry. Do you know who Barry is?
I don't know.
Barry was the guy in Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Oh.
Yeah, I just found that out.
Now things make sense.
Uh-huh.
He was better in that movie.
Yes, he was.
Actually, that movie in general, I mean, like, alright, just a real half note real quick before, just a note on Beyond the Black Rainbow, we get a lot of shit for that review, but the fact of the matter is that if you motherfuckers actually listen to the fucking review, you realize that we actually kind of praise the movie, we just think it's really fucking weird.
Check it out.
So,
alright, so for acting in this movie, I definitely didn't like Trevor. Trevor was just so fucking...
so boring!
It seemed like he was trying to... I said this in the movie as well. It seemed like he was trying to play across confused as to what's going on in the world around him. But he had the emotions of a pet rock. He just...
Even less.
He could not show anything.
It was a pet rock's food.
Even when he was being, like, torn apart by hooks, I didn't even feel like he was in pain. It was just like, alright, you do you. Everyone else was competent, to say the least. Confusing, yes, but competent in what they were given. But the fact that this is your main character, Jesus.
Yeah, I was going through, I'm like, this is your A guy.
Nah,
this is your A guy. I mean, I doubt that this was your first main person that you asked to play this role, but at the same time, this is your main dude.
And I mean, I feel like the best probably character in the whole thing was probably Detective Lang.
Yeah.
The good cop.
Yeah, I'd say that too, yeah.
He was good. He wasn't anything that's spectacular, but he was good.
He was good. He was good at what the material was given.
Yeah.
I mean, and that kind of just goes, delivers us right into the script. The fucking script in this... Alright, there's a movie that reminds me of this, and I had told this to David before we started the episode, is the fact that this reminds me a lot of a movie called The Reaping, starring Hilary Swank. And it was very confusing. The points that kind of like all end up wrapping together at the end didn't really make any sense while I was going through it. And I know that, the whole, distinction between reality and fantasy and all that kind of stuff is one of the big tenets of the Hellraiser films. And it's one of the things, I mean, actually, in all honesty, it's one of the good things that Clive Barker is good at. I might not like the Hellraiser movies, but he's a fucking good author. But as a result of that, unlike The Reaping, which I actually think put the piece together itself really well, I don't care what Rotten Tomatoes thinks. The fact of the matter is, though, this movie is unbelievably convoluted, unbelievably confusing, and it doesn't do anything to make it worth your while. Like, 15, 20 minutes into this movie, I was fucking done.
Oh, you were done way before that.
10 minutes into the movie, really, I was done. I'm like, this is the most bland motherfucker. I actually told him, I was like, this is the movie that I hate more than the other ones. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, actually, that feeling kind of still stands. Maybe just because it's such a fresh image in my mind, and the other ones, it's been years since we've done it. But at the same time, though, fuck. This is such a stupid script. It reminds me of Birdemic.
Ooh.
It reminds me of like the office scenes in Birdemic.
Okay,
and whatnot,
yeah.
is like the office scenes, especially when he's talking to his coworker during this thing. Those scenes, because this movie takes place in primarily 3 locations: the guy's apartment, the police precinct, and where he works. And they just jump around to those different areas with no rhyme or reason. Yeah. Like, there's no, I don't see a solitary motivation for any of these characters. And again, yeah, okay, it's all in his head and whatnot, but the fact of the matter is, though, it's all about suspension of disbelief. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's fake, and you need to know, and the audience needs to have that feeling too.
Okay, so for me, the script is definitely the biggest issue out of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
You were complaining a bit about the tech in the beginning, but you kind of quieted down as the script got worse. Yeah. But we'll get to the tech. The thing about the script, though, is that the movie ties itself together in the end, for the most part. I mean, it has its share of problems, but it ties itself together. The problem being is that you have to go through an hour and like 10 minutes until you get the reveal that Christy was the one who was alive and was selling her soul, or made a deal for her soul and all that. That's an hour and 10 minutes of confusion with nothing to go for it. If you were to compare that...
Also, there's barely any Hellraiser shit in this movie.
Yeah, no, there's no... Like, the thing... I mean, I'm not one to try to make a gore porn. Like, try to make that sound like it's a good thing for people to try to put out there. But it's what you're more or less kind of known for. Why did you cut it down so much?
The first movie is known for the fucking gore.
So, for what I would like to compare it to in the way of just sheer confusion is Memento, Christopher Nolan, where that movie literally goes in reverse. Like, you have no idea how this character got to this place at all until later on in the movie. But he makes it work. He makes you understand by the next scene, this is how we got to here.
And the pieces all fit together.
In this movie, it's an M. Night Shyamalan twist, except it's
even he had more development in his movies.
He at least let the audience think they knew what was going on. And this is like, you clearly don't know what's going on. Just wait till the third act reveals. Like, or give us anything before that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, especially when it comes down to any type of finesse of the script in this, is like, people really have no idea what story structure is. But that kind of just leads us right into the fact of how the movie was put together. Mm-hmm. Like, hell, maybe the script was completely different and it ended up getting butchered because one of the movies, I don't know if it's going to be like the next Hellraiser or the one after that one of them, the director put his name as Alan Smithy because they recut the movie to high hell.
Dimension Films did.
Yeah, and so the fact of the matter is maybe they fucking did that with this movie too. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, though, and the tech that I've really found with it, the special effects are fucking lame. And I'm not even going with just like some of the gore practicals that they have. Mm-hmm. The CGI is bullshit.
There was the head thing and the eel thing. That's about the only ones I really remember.
Yeah, and the eel one, I mean, like, fuck, when at the very end when they're pulling an eel out of his mouth when he's dead, that was more realistic than when he was barfing it up.
Yeah, and it may very well been just like a fake mask. So.
Yeah, exactly. So that's really sad. That's really kind of sad that your fake corpse probably is more of a better actor than your actual actor. Or at least in this movie. Again, I don't think this guy cared about this movie at all to really put any effort into it. And also, this also was a problem that I had with The Prophecy too, was that almost every fucking scene is dark and grimy. Like, no one has ever heard of a goddamn fluorescent light. Or it's really harsh and was it like his office and whatnot. Everything's kind of like teal. Mm. That has this weird bluish tint to it. And I'm like, okay, you can make that work. But that's the only set, that's the only scene, the only setting that actually has that color scheme. Every single set, except for you would have like flashbacks where he basically almost goes blue like Dakota.
Yeah.
But either way, it's just the fact that the movie just seems like it was just chopped together on like a butcher's block. It's like, all right, the movie's done.
Yeah, I again, for some reason, I've been subjected to all of the Saw movies. Like, pretty much one right after another. This is year and year and year in between viewings of these films. So, I don't have that much fresh memories as I do of the Saw ones, which are just ingrained in my head. But they both kind of struck me as, at least my first experiences of the Hellraiser thing, of having that same sort of gore being the central thing more than a creeping sense of terror. And
And the first one really had a lot of that both, but at the same time, though,
but
this is not that.
This completely chopped out the gore, like almost entirely. But when they did include it,
it's very tame.
It was just the technical aspect of it. Like you said,
it was always after the fact too.
Yeah, like you never got to see the only time you really got to see a murder was a plastic bag suffocation. That's it. And there was one time when there was a giant needle. And I'll admit, this was cool. Pinhead pulled a pin from his head, and the dude was getting acupuncture, and he just jammed it right through his neck. It didn't look real at all. But just the idea of him on the acupuncture table, that was cool.
Yeah, that was... also, what was it? When the scene that was happening involving the plastic bag, like, you know, it was about, like, this woman had the camera set up.
Yeah, it was the Patrick Bateman sort of filming the sex scene.
Like, and he's like, no, get the fuck out of here.
Send her on her way.
But when he looks back to the television screen, they're still there.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, that's happened before. I've seen that in movies. But the one part that really made it work was the fact that he's looking at it, and then he starts doing the hand thing in front of the camera, and it matches with the television.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's kind of cool.
That shows a very good level of immersion. I enjoyed that.
And that's what's really sad, because you had two. It wasn't even like moments; it was literally instances.
I think they were good. They had. I told Matt this. I think that their descriptions on paper sounded really good. Probably
they just didn't have the ability to pull it off.
Yeah, some of them they had the ability to pull it off, like the hand thing. Some of them they didn't, like the two-headed cop. But we're getting...
Men in Black 2!
We'll go ahead and just skip right on to our final thoughts, man.
I mean, in all honesty, my final thoughts are simply the fact that it's a bland movie. I'm honestly probably going to forget about this movie like tomorrow, and I'm not going to remember a fucking thing about it.
I've already forgotten the last Hellraiser movie.
It's really kind of tragic that this movie, I'm probably going to forget quicker than Atlas Shrugged.
Oof.
Because
I was going to say, that one's still lodged in my head.
That one, actually, I was thinking about earlier today, is the fact that I don't actually remember a lot of parts about Atlas Shrugged Part 3, but I remember more parts about 1 and 2 just because we saw it more. And overall, this movie, it's forgettable, it's bland, the actors don't give a shit, the writers don't give a shit, no one gives a shit, I shouldn't give a shit, so fuck you.
Really? Alright, for my final thoughts...
I just don't like lazy filmmaking.
No,
and it irritates me, because you guys had millions of dollars to spend on this. You know how much I would have to try to do to get fucking millions of dollars for my movies?
The final thoughts for me, and it was interesting to me how early on you quit in this movie. I'd like to attribute it to the Buddhist, but it's not. It's a bad movie. But you were having a lot different problems of it than I was. You were constantly going off on it for just like what I considered somewhat trivial things in the way of like scene structure and stuff like that, but obviously that matters more to you, being director and all that.
Yeah.
For me, what got under my skin was just how little the main actor cared. It was incredible. I mean, I can tell where his motivation probably was, because it's so hard to play a character who knows nothing.
Yeah.
His entire character is amnesiac, and it is so hard to play that in any sort of competent way, because literally your motivation has to be, I need to find out what's going on.
And he's not motivated by that.
He's not. He doesn't care at all. All he wants is to, quote-unquote, see his wife. But the cops say over and over again, it's like, we haven't found her. So for half the movie, he's just walking around like, well, this girl's currently on my lap, half naked, making out with me. Guess I should act aroused. Nah, just get off. I could not care less for the main character. And when the supporting characters came on, they all had to play off this guy, and so it just detracted from their performances at the same time.
Yeah. And also, I would also say that this movie, I don't know how legit it is or not, but the thing is, though, I've always felt that this movie was kind of sexist. Oh. Because all of the fucking female characters are all just trying to get this guy's dick, and that's all they fucking do.
For any horror movie prior to, like, 2010, I kind of just accept that as being a thing.
Just write it off.
I'm just like, it's just what the studios thought had to be. I'm willing to write it. After that, I think...
Because most horror films are marketed toward fucking young guys.
And that's why they had to basically all be half naked. But yeah, that's generally where it is. The best character, though, we forgot to mention, the janitor in one scene, he opened up a closet that he thought was his doctor's office, and there's a janitor standing there puffing on a cigarette, just going like,
"Oh, you caught me!
You caught me! Just give me one last puff."
You got one puff left.
I was like, "I love you." All right, but that is all of our thoughts on Hellraiser, Hellseeker. We fucked up the spooktacular again. We cannot do anything scary.
No.
God damn it. Okay, you know what? Next week, something scary. Something really, really scary.
I thought we did that for 1313.
Next week, Uli Lamel.
Fuck
Yes.
Oh,